Notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on January 12, 2024. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards in the Township website.
A roll call, please.
Councilman Albanese.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Feinman.
Here.
Councilwoman Travers.
Here.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Present.
President Minikino. Thank you.
Everyone, if we could please rise for a salute to the flag, Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, please accept the reports from municipal officers
Yes, I will.
and approval of minutes from the April 9th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion? Second. Is there a second? Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feinman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
Thank you.
We now have a swearing in of a new police officer, Jesse Lyon. I'd like to invite the chief and Mayor Crate up to the podium.
Hi. Nice crowd here tonight. I appreciate everybody supporting their fellow volunteer firemen. It's good to see. I also just want to start off by saying I thank the mayor and the council for their continued support, and the business administrator of public safety and the police department. They've always been pretty supportive. So without further ado, I'd like to have Jesse Lyon, badge number 349, step up. Jesse is a longtime resident of Brick Township. He graduated from Brick Township High School in 2012. After high school, Jesse moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. In 2014, he was hired as a police officer by the Myrtle Beach Police Department. In 2017, he resigned from the Myrtle Beach Police Department and moved back to New Jersey, back to Brick, with his wife Nicole to start a family. In 2019, Jesse joined the Bretton Woods Fire Company and still is an active member. Jesse has been working as an assistant fire marshal with the Brick Township Fire Bureau. Jesse will attend the Ocean County Police Academy, which starts on Friday, May 3rd. And Jesse is here accompanied by his wife, Nicole, and their 3 children, Lily, Brody, and Nico, if you want to come on up. All right, who's gonna hold it? You're gonna hold it, all right. Just raise your right hand.
I, state your name.
I, Jesse Lyon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And that I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
and the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, no, all good. All good.
Are you excited? That was loud. That was really loud. Here, just gonna have you sign right there. And we're gonna do some pictures. So don't go away. Pictures. Do you have any other family that you'd like to have? Me? He's like Well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just, I don't know if that was set up.
Bud, come here, stand right here.
Thank you. All right. You go first or I go first? Okay. Oh, so you guys ready? Derek's on the move. Good job.
What did he say?
It's going to get a lot scarier. I can say.
And I would like to comment on this fantastic turnout, but I will give everyone a fair warning that if you'd like to leave and not stay for the rest of the meeting, now's your time.
Joanne, what did he say? I couldn't hear him.
That was the scariest thing of my life.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Aw, he didn't seem scared. He seemed like very excited. Oh. He liked it there, though. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. She did. He was nice.
I don't have it, but a lot of private company. And so probably, we'll talk about it next time we meet.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to suspend the regular order of business in order to accommodate the budget hearing.
Motion to suspend regular order of business for the budget hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
Council President, this is the time fixed for the public hearing of the 2024 municipal budget. The budget was introduced by the governing body on March 25th, 2024, and was advertised in the Ocean Star on March 29th, 2024, together with the notice of hearing for April 23rd, 2024 at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to open the floor to Mayor Crate to speak.
Thank you. I just need a moment. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak briefly on the 2024 municipal budget. Since its introduction, we have worked hard to ensure this budget is fiscally responsible and sound in its stability to fund municipal services. The amount to be raised by taxes in the budget before you tonight have been decreased by over $1 million. That means the annual municipal tax rate increase on the median assessed home is now $73.11. As I said when the budget was introduced, this year's $117 million budget has increased only by 1.9% from last year. This modest increase is a testament to this administration's commitment to fiscal responsibility and running an efficient and effective municipal government. This budget is the culmination of months of hard work by the Township's financial team, as well as the result of many years of instilling a philosophy of fiscal responsibility, an effort that has produced undeniable results and created what we consider to be one of the most efficiently run and fiscally conservative municipal governments in Ocean County. This budget also reflects the cost that comes with exceptional services and programs that we are all deeply proud of, serving all of our residents from the very young to our active aging seniors. I thank you. I thank our team for all the hard work that they did to put into this budget, and thank you for the council for your support.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Copies of the budget are posted on the Township website and in the back of the room. We're going to open this up to public hearing, but before we do, I'd simply like to outline the procedure. Each person that would like to be heard will raise their hand, wait to be recognized, and give his or her name for the record. I'm going to recognize one speaker at a time. You should address your questions to the chair. When necessary, those will be referred to individual members of the governing body or to municipal officials. Questions should be confined solely to the municipal budget before us. School or county matters are not proper subjects of this hearing and cannot be discussed or answered here tonight. Is there anybody that would like to be heard regarding the budget? Ms. Call, why don't you start us off?
Nan Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. I haven't really gone over the budget, but the one thing that I am concerned about, and you should be able to answer it, even though I don't know where it is in here, is I did miss a meeting or two, I don't know. But the last thing I remember is there was going to be road work done in Brick, and I read something in the media that said it would be a joint venture with Tom's River. Now, I don't have the details at all in my head about it. However, when I left the last meeting and went to pick up a few things over near St. Dominic's, the road there, and I've said it before, it's about time you spend the money and you light the roadways. Route 88 at that point is very narrow. It shouldn't be the speed it is. It's much too fast on the speed for what that roadway is. And I have seen so many close calls with young people. Many of them are teenagers and very responsible teenagers. I think we have wonderful children here. And remember, I'm old. Anybody younger than me is a child. So they're wonderful, and I want to see them live a long life. But with the darkness of them going along Route 88, if they're coming from St. Dominic's, from being in the gym there, or coming from possibly just a little bit further down, there's no place for them to walk and be safe. We had a whole program, and I've been involved in it, but I haven't been able to for several years now. Smart Growth is one of it. Smart Streets, I think, is another name. And we really need to have many changes. We need to have all of the residents involved, because you're not going to think of everything. And I'll just, in closing, regarding roadways, my late husband and I was married to St. Patrick, so he's watching over me. He's also St. Francis in other places. And he has gone, but when we came and moved fully into the house as of January 2001, after coming back from Colorado and having had a snowstorm here, and I signed Patrick and I up for a defensive driving course, which was given at that time. It was given regularly by the AARP. And one of the first things the facilitator or moderator said was, we live in Greenbrier too. Well, I now am living there and talking to St. Patrick all the time, though. So he's there, if not in body, in my mind. And the facilitator said that when we come out of these communities, and ours is too fast, 30 miles an hour with the bending turns on roads, that's much too high. It should be 25 like the original Greenbrier is. I'm in Greenbrier 2. And the fella said, we should not be going out. And he was taking it for granted that at that time all of us were much older than the 55 and alive, and that we should stay off any roads that was more than 40 miles an hour. And one of the people who had lived in Greenbrier 2 much longer than I, in fact, I was just there, brand new, and I said, you can't get out of Greenbrier 2 without going onto a road that's more than 40 miles an hour as soon as you come out. We have to think about changing our roads because the way it's going, I read about the crashes, I've read about Ridgeway, and I'm familiar with Ridgeway down in Manchester, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of our people being mowed down and actually dying because of the crash between a pedestrian and a vehicle.
Thank you, Ms. Call. Are there any other questions from public? Mr. Finelli?
Vic Finelli. First off, are we going to get another copy of the budget? Because this one is outdated, the one that's in the back. This is the old information, not the new. Okay, so why are we giving out this one if it's not correct?
That's what I have.
I mean, when I walk in here and then take a copy of the budget, my anticipation, my expectation is this is what's going to be discussed tonight. This is the budget, but this is the budget from 2 meetings ago. This is not the budget for tonight. So, I mean, we always have the same problem. We get the information after the discussions are going on. How come we can't get, if you change the budget, how come we can't get it updated for the meeting?
I don't think it's amended until after the budget amendment. They haven't adopted a budget amendment yet. So I'm assuming, Maureen, that that's the budget as it is right now until we have the amendment. Right.
So then when are we going to get an updated one of these? So are we going to talk about the budget at the next council meeting again? Oh. Now you see my dilemma. You're giving out the information after the budget meeting. It doesn't make any sense. All right, I'm not going to go through this because it's wrong, but I just have one question on this before I get into the other things. Current year average residential assessment, $252,000? That's from the assessment, yes. What is that, for Greenbrier?
It is from the entire town.
Hmm?
It's from the entire town.
And do you believe that that's accurate, that the average assessment of all the homes in Brick is $252,000? I would guess you'd have trouble finding $252,000 just in Greenbrier or the senior citizen places.
Those are the assessed values of the homes, correct?
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's as wrong as the rest of the report. You might want to look into it.
It's not what it
is
goes
the
for
assessed value of the
when you buy, when you go to sell it. It is
It's an assessment.
assessed, yes.
I know what an assessment is, okay? And I know it's an assessment, but very low, very low. Okay, my questions about the agenda. And you all remember my comments from the last meeting, which makes me very suspicious. The $1 million, that's a separate line item on the new budget. Where did that come from? It's item number 3, miscellaneous revenue, section G, special items of general revenue. It doesn't say where it come from. Nice round number. Can anybody tell me where you got the $1 million from? Say what?
Donation from the BTMUA. It's a donation from the Brick Township Municipal Authority.
They gave you $1 million.
Yes, they did. They will be.
They will be? Has that happened in the past, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just curious, because I brought up the tax levy last time, and all of a sudden, we got $1 million to knock it down. That still puts the tax levy at 4%, all right? Last time it was 5.3, you added $1 million and a little bit, so the tax levy is now 4%. My problem is, nobody's mentioned that. In 2 meetings now, when we talked about the budget, I keep hearing our spending is going up 1.9%, which is nice, but that's not as important as the tax levy to the taxpayers of what you're going to increase their taxes by. And with this adjustment, that's still 4%. Never heard that mentioned, so I think that's deception by omission, if that's a legal term. I don't know.
If you would, Ms. Bergen, do you want to define the difference between the tax levy and the
I know
tax
the
rate?
difference between the tax levy and what the budget is going up. What is what you're spending,
that's
and the
not what I
other is
said.
what you're collecting.
Sir, that's not what I said. The tax levy is different than what any individual's tax rate might increase by. And I'd like Ms. Bergen to explain that difference. It is different.
The tax levy is the amount that is responsible by the homeowners in Brick.
All of them combined.
Correct, sir, yes.
No different than what I said.
Well, it is, right? I'll
No,
give you an example.
I keep
No,
hearing,
hold on.
listen
I'll
to
give you
what
one
I'm
example.
saying.
I will. Listen to what I'm saying. There are 3 new homes being built by me, right? Very close to where I am. All 3 of those homes will pay taxes. Those taxes will increase the tax levy for the town. That increase in the tax levy is not driven by an increase in my tax rate. So there is a separation between the comparison of last year's tax levy and this year's tax levy and what our actual tax rate increase might be for an individual homeowner.
When those houses get built,
I'm sorry?
which those three houses you're talking about are not in this budget.
Those particular ones are built, other ones were built previously.
When
It's
you talk
ineffective
about
to
the
give those
whole
2
thing,
numbers as a
talk
good-
about the whole thing, all right?
I'm sorry?
When you're talking about the whole thing, talk about the whole thing. Don't mention 1.9 when we're looking at 5.3. That's
The 1.9
deception.
figure is the increase in the budget appropriation from last year.
If I read this correctly, and I'm just want to confirm my numbers, the understanding, according to the new budget, $16 million is going to debt service. Is that correct? Right.
Yes.
$10.9 million is being held in surplus,
Yes, that's correct.
okay? And an additional $3.3 million is being reserved for uncollected taxes. All right? That's correct? So you're withholding over $14.5 million of taxpayers' money you're holding. And I bring this up every year. You've got interest-free $14 million of our money that you're holding on to. Now, I understand the reserve for uncollected taxes. You got some uncollected taxes. You got to pay out the monies that you have to give back when people get their taxes back. But $11 million for surplus, unless you're anticipating a Sandy coming every other year, my personal opinion, way too much money to be holding of ours for just sitting
Mr.
there.
Finelli, as a CFO, I have to think of next year's budget as well, and I try to explain this to you every year. So when you think that I'm holding on to it, that I'm just gonna not use it for something this year, that's not true. What am I gonna, if we say there's gonna be no increase in taxes because I'm gonna use up the surplus, what are we gonna do next year? How are we gonna get revenue next year? Do you think ahead to that?
Whatever.
You know what questions you're gonna have for me
You
next
can
year?
raise the tax levy whenever you want. right?
No, you have the cap appropriations, you have the tax levy, which there's a lot of different, how do I say this? There's a lot of different math that goes into what we're allowed to have the amount to be raised by taxation. And I don't think you understand that. And as far as the reserve uncollected taxes, that's money we put into the budget as an appropriation. That's not money that I have being held. So that, whatever math you did to, what did you say, $13 million I have extra? That's not true.
Well, it is
No,
true.
it's not,
Now,
sir. No,
you're
it's
gonna,
not.
I already explained what you're gonna use that for, and I know what you're gonna use it for, but it's still there. It says reserved. It says surplus. I didn't make those words up. Those are your words.
No, it's not my words. That's the state's words.
And they're not
And-
good words. They're not a good choice of words because surplus to me implies excess. This is not excess. This is money that's used to balance the budget
When?
every year.
Next year?
The last time we went to a dangerously low surplus level, we had to go out for a referendum to maintain services because we had no surplus.
When-
Surplus
when-
is part of your budget every year.
When was that?
I have to look at.
Well, way before I got here, and I've been here for 26 years.
But there,
No.
You must have missed it then, because it happened.
but there's also something else, Mr. Finley, we have to think about. Do you know how you regenerate surplus? I mean, let's just say you're looking at it and saying, I have $11 million left, and it's like a slush fund. How do I regenerate that? Do you know how I regenerate surplus? Because looking at it in the future for next year, there's certain parts of that I'm not gonna be able to regenerate. So I, in my mind, as a CFO, have to think, what if I only end up with what we're ending up with this year to balance next year's
Do you
budget?
know what's gonna happen next year? Because I don't.
No, I don't, but that's my job to
Okay.
plan
Think
for
so.
next year.
What I'm telling you, my own personal opinion, $11 million of surplus is way too much money of our money to be holding on to. You have it. It's not a fictitious number. It's there. You might use some of it for next year's budget, but you're collecting it a year before next year's budget. I'd rather have the money in my pocket than yours, and so would everybody else.
Thank you for your opinion.
And let's get to the last part, just so I understand. And this is something else that I don't agree with. It seems to me that everything you buy, not just big items, but practically everything you buy, or everything you need, or everything you take on, you bond it. And if I look at the page that has all the bonding on it, you put up 5% of the money and you bond 95% of the money, which keeps the debt. How much money you have in debt right now? $100 and something million?
Yes.
Right? And well, I understand you're paying off 16 million of it. You're adding another 9 million. Some of it's for 5 years, some of it's for 7 years, some of it's for 10 years, some of it's for 15. I look at just how I run my own household. Yeah, I finance some big items, but I don't finance all of them. I pay for my roof, but I finance my car. I pay for my mortgage, but I pay for remodeling my kitchen. It doesn't seem, because you don't have to, and I understand you don't have to, you don't ever put any money away to buy something. It's always bonding, it's always debt, it's always future. And you put up 5% of the money, and then you end up paying $16 million of your budget is going to debt service in 1 year. If I ran my household like that, you know where I'd be? Bankruptcy
Ms.
court.
Lavyberg, is it accurate that we have reduced the outstanding debt for the past decade every single year?
Yes, we have,
Yes. Yeah. The debt levels for
because,
this year and this budget are lower than they have been in every year for the last
I
10 years.
understand that. I understand that.
We've been paying down debt.
But you keep adding to it. You're well over $100 million.
but
It's a
coming
lot of
down.
money.
It's coming down.
Slowly.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Finelli.
I just think we can do a better job of this.
Mr. Foster.
Okay, I apologize, I came in late today, but just to confirm here, we're on the budget here, we're at the 4.3 adoption of the 2024 budget, am I correct?
4-1.
4.1, okay. First I want to,
Excuse me. We're not even at 4-1. We're just having
Okay,
a
but we're
budget
discussing the budget, okay. Just want to follow up on between Mr. Finelli and Berg, is it Berg? Berg, and Mrs. Berg. On the subject of the, two things were, because I brought this up years ago during a budget hearing, and regarding the referendum to increase taxes, I'd like to remind everybody that the reason why that was increased was because the state of New Jersey cut about $2 million with aid to the Township of Brick, and that's why, because I was in the room, and I heard Mayor Acropolis and the council members up there, Republicans, all of them said the same thing. This is our situation. We either have to have massive layoffs in the town by cuts and eliminate the entire public works department in order to balance the budget, or we have to have the referendum to see the 2% spending cap. So I'm just saying this just to straighten this out, because there's a lot of misrepresentation going on here. I remember this is a very big contention point here, so just want to clear that up. On the subject of Mr. Finley's comment about the outdated budget information, I agree with him. And I just, not just he, but myself and others had problems with communication between this administration and the public. Now, I have a very simple question. I attend Township for council meetings. I was one there, I was out there last week, I think it was, after my chess club. And they are very open with the public. They have everything you really need to know is right there on their website. How difficult would it be? And I mean, no disrespect to you, Mayor. You know, a lot. Like you're doing a good job. Mr. Kinley, same thing. No problem with either one of you. But it's, I've had this problem before. Their website is very easy to navigate. Pretty much whatever you want to know, they have right there. How difficult would it be to put the budget? And Mr. Finelli's right. You've got an outdated budget here, which we cannot discuss with you, and we will not have the opportunity to discuss, because by the time the budget, this year's budget is released, we can't talk about it next week unless it's during the public comments. That might take away our time for something else that we want to make up. Is it really so difficult just to have the budget from last year, the one that's out of date, and online available if you want to, before the budget that has yet to be approved, so that we can know what you people are doing? Because that's just it. I mean, this has been going on for years. You're too secretive about what you're doing. And I can make faces. I don't care. I don't care. I saw Mrs.
Would you like a response?
Well, no, because I'm still talking. Excuse me. I'm still talking. I only have 5 minutes. I appreciate you. Just let me finish. This is the problem. You people get mad at us when we ask you what you're doing with our money. It's our money. We need to know. We have the right to know. And you don't have the right to sit up there, make faces like I saw Councilwoman Travers doing to Mr. Finelli was talking, turning her face. There's no excuse for that. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and that incites misconduct by other members of this administration. And Mayor, not you. You know I like you. You're a nice person. You've never, when you're a councilwoman, you're always polite, respectful. That's why I like you. Do it. And Mr. Kinley, same thing. But you have to understand, I've said this before, when I got screamed at by Councilman Mendocino. You people do not understand. We have the right to criticize you and question you about what you're doing with our money. Put the information on the website like Tom Trevor does, and I've attended other council meetings as well in person over the years, and I've seen them on YouTube too, and there's no reason why you should not. You're not costing any money to print out paper, which has gotten expensive. I just had to buy printer paper last night. I ran out of paper, and I couldn't believe how much it went on. It used to be up. I used to get for $3. I paid over $7 for a ream of paper. So there's no expense. It's just out there digitally. Anybody can view it online or print out what they want from it, instead of this secrecy that you people are involved in. And you've been this way all along, ever since you took control of the council and mayor's office. And again, Mayor Crate, you were not like this when you're a councilwoman. You were always respectful, polite, always very knowledgeable. And a lot of people in town appreciate that. That's why you got so many votes. I know. You're a nice person, good person, and we need more people like you in government. Mr. Kinley, always respectful, polite, knowledgeable lawyer. But you have to stop this nonsense of getting mad at us in his faces when we're talking. It's disrespectful, and it's going to incite people to misbehave, and I'll be damned if I'm going to put up with another incident like me being attacked by a former Brick police officer, Ken Bainziger, who started punching me in the back of the room in front of another special police officer, didn't do a damn thing about it. Then I got people bitched and moaned about me because I kicked his ass. I shouldn't have to kick someone's ass because someone's attacking me.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. And it better not happen again with me being anybody putting their hands on me.
there anybody else from the public that would like to be heard? Sir in the gray sweatshirt.
Just a couple quick questions. Justin Delaney, 301 Sandra Place. We talked about a referendum and having a referendum in terms of raising the budget cap. And the last one, I think, was beaten into all our heads last year. That was in 2011, which we helped pass to save in-house garbage, save 32 jobs of police officers, numerous public works employees, and so on. But that's not what I wanted to ask. Two quick questions. One is, we talk about the surplus where we are today. What is the difference in the amount we have in surplus now as opposed to 10 years ago? Because we always go back like 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. Is it going down? Is it remaining stable? And the other question I wanted to ask was, how much more is the budget being raised this year to make up for not raising anything last year? So since we were at 0% last year and cost of living went up, we probably have to make up for something from last year, which means raising it a little bit more this year.
I have a surplus history, from 2010 to 2024, if you would like to look at it.
Just 2010, how much was it?
2010.
Or 2012, actually, after that referendum.
2012, it was 8,000,003.
Start with this one. 2010, we used 99% of our surplus and had a balance of $48,000.
Yeah, and it went up right after that, after the referendum.
Now, this year in 2024, we're using 48%, and we have 11,505,000.
That's correct, yeah, yes, yes.
How about 2015 when?
2015, we used 62% and had a balance of $6 million.
Okay, and how much more do you estimate the tax increases this year to make up for 0% last year?
It's a tax levy change. The tax rate is a change of 3.8%.
Between last year and this year?
Yes, because last year it was a negative 0.33 because the tax levy stayed the same.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other comments?
Bob Maliano from Brick. I had just one question with the police officers. Their budget's only going up 2%? Is that what it was? The police force.
Their salary and wage budget or their operating?
Their operating budget? At the one meeting, when the officer, the captain, was going over the budget, he says the increase was going to be about 2%. Well, I'll get to the point. Does the 2%, does that include new patrol cars and stuff like that? Is that all part of the budget going up?
Well, once again, I just want to make sure that you're talking about just police officers, because when you say police, it entails dispatch, special police,
I'm talking about the actual police officers that are actually working in the force, out on the road patrol,
We have a line.
without the dispatch.
We have a line for vehicles and the cops. Right.
It's under the police budget?
So, police officer vehicles.
Right.
The state and our auditor has directs us accordingly, according to the state rules, that their cars, the actual cars,
Mhm.
are not included in the capital budget because they don't have a useful life long enough to
Okay.
be on. So
Okay.
in the capital budget, there are things for the police department, high water vehicles, other types of, SUVs they need, but not their cars. The cars are in the operating.
Okay, so,
So if we did the police vehicles, there's just a line item for that. It was $390,000
Okay, my point is, if they got a cap on their budget, why can't we raise their budget, get more officers, which will solve a lot of problems that everybody complains, people, speeding here, doing that, everybody, they all have some kind of complaint. Why can't we give them extra patrol officers on the street, which in return, given tickets, would create more income for the town, correct or not?
Well, we don't hire police officers for the purposes of income.
I understand that.
It's 100% on public safety,
Right.
and this budget does include more police officers.
Mhm.
We hired one tonight, and we'll be hiring more for the next academy, which the academy is only twice a year, that's in October.
Mhm.
So we'll be hiring more then. Our roster is
146.
147,
Yeah.
which it was
But
138 10 years ago when I got here, so we have invested in more police
But-
officers steadily over time,
today, Bricktown is a lot bigger than what it was.
which is why we've upped the roster.
Right, which is a little bit more headaches in today's society, which they would need more officers on patrol. So my point is, helping the police department is a big thing, instead of, I know you guys said they had money put away for garbage trucks and stuff like that, that was saved over a few years. But if they increase the police officers, maybe Brick would be a little safer. I mean, not that it's bad, but it's still, I feel that we need more police officers on the road. I see a lot of guys out on the road now doing patrols. I see, for the first time, a lot of cop cars with the lights on, pulling people over, which is great.
We have bicycle patrols, we have boat patrols, we have
No, I
neighborhood
understand. I'm
watch,
out there every
and
day.
we have the highest number of police officers in the township's history. So
Mhm.
I think we're doing what you're asking us to do.
Right.
And I know I would not recommend to this council that we buy fewer garbage trucks to add to the police roster, because we're already doing that in a calculated way that we can afford.
Mhm. But if we could put a little bit more for them, to help them get more guys,
We've done that.
no, but we're not doing enough, in
Well,
my
that's
opinion.
one person's opinion of a budget we're trying to balance, but I thank you for that.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Vasquez.
Mark Vasquez, 440 Lana Court. So a couple things, just as I mentioned, I think it was wrong that we did a 0% increase on an election year, and then we did it on an off year. Most likely you'll do a 0% again next election year. Besides that, on line 45 on the appropriation summary, there's about $1 million for open space budget. Do we know what that's going towards?
We do that every year, and we have it in a trust, and we can use it for parks, anything related to a park. I got, what's the word from Kevin, what does that call it, opinion from him to make sure that I was allowed to use it, not just on land, but on things that, for the debt service for that.
Okay, so there's 170,000 that's already budgeted for, if I'm not looking at this incorrectly, Parks and Recreation. So we're just in case, we're budgeting an additional $1 million for that.
That was,
Eh.
So the open space tax and the money that comes in from that is separate and apart from the Parks and Recreation's operating budgets and
Okay.
capital budgets.
Okay.
So we use that and we pay down debt service, we'll put it towards,
Okay.
recreation and parks and their operating budget, but generally we use it to pay down debt service.
Awesome, okay, thank you. And then the last thing is, obviously, we're increasing police, and we're spending the money on it, which I think we should, but how much of that is going to community policing and then actually a standard officer that would be on the street in a patrol car pulling someone over?
So the totality of the budget isn't divided that way.
Okay.
They have a total operating budget, and there's programs that it funds, including Neighborhood Watch, the bike patrol, boat patrol, all of the things that are part of running a police department. So they're not separate line items. The only separate line item is the police camp, so we can track what we pay for the youngsters that go to that camp.
Is the majority of this budget, though, that we're increasing going to community policing, or is it going to a standard officer?
It's going to both. It's funding new officers and funding those ongoing programs. No
But we don't have a
programs are going
specific
away.
understanding
No,
where the money's
None
going.
of the programs are going away, nothing's being cut.
And who makes the final decision on where that money, whether it's an additional community officer or, again, who makes that decision? Is that the chief? Is that the mayor?
So the chief comes up with his budget that it goes over with Maureen and I and then presented to the mayor and council for their approval. So he develops his budget. We talk in great detail about his budget. The salary and wage budget is set by Maureen based on what's been articulated in terms of what they need. We look at retirements and we want to make sure we plug those holes quickly. And then we look at upping the roster and how many we can bring in over the 2 academies of the year.
And that, when he presented his budget, he didn't give you a definition of what was going where?
No, because it's not broken out that way.
That way,
We
okay.
talk about the programs and the need to discuss if any of the programs would be going away, which they're not.
Mhm.
So it's really
Understood.
just to fund the ongoing programs.
I would just
that we do.
recommend, and are we still part of the LEAD program? There was
Yes,
the council,
it's a pilot program for us.
and is it
yes.
still running in Brick?
Mhm.
Okay, and how many years until they no longer fund us and we have to start kicking in our own money
I
for
believe
LEAD?
that was a 3-year pilot program.
Okay.
We're in year 2.
Year 2, okay. All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Vasquez. Is there anybody else? Mr. Bacon?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Administration. I have a couple of follow-up questions I heard from some of the residents. First, I want to thank you for putting a copy of the budget in the back. That's helpful. My understanding is there's going to be some adjustments to this. You have to pass the amendment. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. When does the budget actually have to be into the state legally? Do we have the date of that by any chance?
What did you say?
The date that the council.
It had to be passed by this meeting, correct?
That's correct, but I mean, normally it's February, but the state extended it. I don't know the exact date, but I have to have it in by this Friday.
Okay, because there's a lot of good questions. I'm just kind of curious, why don't we back this up a little bit? So maybe you could have a couple public hearings before you're up on the mandate of the state. Just kind of curious about that. What's that? No, I understand that. What I'm trying to say here is this is a pretty heavy document. The Board of Ed is also up for approval this week. There's a lot of things to digest here. A lot of us don't have a financial background. I'm just kind of curious, since we have a state mandate to have this in play by Friday, why we couldn't have started this process a few weeks early so you could have maybe a couple public hearings on the budget so we have time to review or to get back to the administration on it. That's
So,
all.
as you said, Mr. Bacon, it's a very heavy working document, and we do try to start the public process very early. I gave my budget presentation 6 weeks ago. So we start the process by sharing information publicly that people can ask as many questions as they like about when the different department heads come to present, because it's a working document, because it is constantly being reviewed and updated to make sure that we've provided the most fiscally responsible budget that we can present to mayor and council.
Right.
So it's publicly discussed over many weeks of what we're working on and where we are, and this is the culmination of that.
No, I appreciate the lot of work that goes into it. I'm just questioning, could we move it up maybe a couple weeks so you could have 2 public hearings? So we're not right up on the deadline of the state mandate. That's,
I'm not sure, I'd have to look at the state, and when you say 2 public hearings, I've never heard of that, so I'd be happy to get back to you with that
Oh, sure.
information.
No, I appreciate it.
I mean, there's dates, it's introduced, it's published, there's a certain amount of time that you have to wait in between, I believe it's 20 days.
yeah, got it.
So, I don't wanna give you incorrect information, but I would happy to get back to you, if you give me
That-
information to get back to you at. Because
Absolutely.
I've never heard of having 2 meetings to discuss it.
Yeah, because
Whether
it's a
allowed, I
lot,
don't know.
you know what I mean? Because I know you folks spend a lot of time on it. Is appreciated. Do like to see the department that you do. That's helpful too. When you go over those department things, I mean, I tend to not want to come up and speak, let the department heads talk about those things. So that's a good forum to talk. Like if we have questions, for example, a couple of questions came up tonight about the police and the staffing of the police. If that's appropriate to bring up, we'll,
Yeah, the council president has always opened it up to questions of
Yep.
the department heads, and they have been asked questions over the years, many
Okay.
times over the years, some not at all relevant to their budget, but they're still
Great.
kind of patient enough to answer the questions, but it's up, the council president has opened it up to the public every presentation.
yeah,
he's had.
no, I understand. I tried, I listened to it and trying to take it in, but, at what point do you talk about? Because some of these questions tonight could have been addressed when the police chief was.
When you've got the township
Will do.
engineer and the police
Will do if
chief
I'm.
and the recreation director, they'd love to hear from you.
So a couple other things, and thanks for going through the process, but I want to draw back on something that somebody else brought up. I actually brought it up 2 weeks ago as well, because I do know a few folks that are chief financial officers, mayors, and business administrators outside of the town. And the one thing that they generally say is you never want to take a zero tax increase. Now, as a person that pays a very high amount of taxes, I appreciate that. However, we had 4 major contracts last year. And I think across the first year of them, it was 6%. The second year is 5%. And it varies a little bit between the various unions there. So the question I'm going to ask, and I'm going to be right up front with it, because talking to a host of people, you never take a zero, especially in a high inflation. Is it okay if I can continue?
Of course.
Thank you very much. So you never take a zero on it because you got to catch that zero up at some point. Obviously, you're taking some away from surplus this year, looking between the 23, the 24 budgets. Some of it's coming there. You probably retired some debt. So I guess who made the decision that we should take a zero last year when it's against the grain of what most people will say? If you go to any town, especially we're in high inflation last year, I mean, I read the notes from the December 22, some of the comments made in public that actually got into social media. So with all that said, and I said this 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to say again tonight, is they deserved every bit of that. So this is not an issue about what's deserved between the unions in this township. It's a question about a policy from a financial standpoint of why we took a zero. And I'm going to ask the question, who made the final decision to take a zero last year?
I do appreciate your comments and questions, Mr. Bacon, but that sounds like a question about a decision made last year. We should really keep this to questions about this year's budget.
I agree, but it has an impact on this year's budget. And are you on the financial committee?
I am.
Okay. Then you know the repercussions of taking zeros. You know the last time this town took a zero? Does anybody want to look it up? In the last 10 years? I'm sorry? It's happened twice in the last 10 years. Last year was the second time. I believe if you go back and look at the history, when the previous mayor was running for a second term, you took a zero. So we're going to talk about finances and what to do properly for a township. Then we really need to look at those kind of things that we're doing in those years. So to answer your point, when you take a zero, it does have repercussions profoundly on this budget and everything else because of those changes in healthcare and those other things. Thank you for the extended time. Have a good evening.
Thank you for your comments. Has anybody not been heard? Mr. Finelli.
I didn't remember whether we were allowed to come up twice. Thank you. I only have one question, and it's a beauty. Can anybody up here tell me why the MUA would give you $1 million and not the school district, who's got their budget cut by $25 million in the last 7 years?
There is a state statute that allows them to do this for the municipality. I don't know that that statute includes boards of education. I
Okay.
would have to research it. but
If I
know
told
this
you,
is-
if I told you Tom's Rivers MUA gave the school district money,
Okay, like I said, I know there's a state statute. I don't know the details of it, other than that that's the statute
Okay.
that
That-
allowed them
that-
to do
that-
that for us.
that doesn't answer my question.
I know, but I told you I wasn't gonna be able to answer your question until I looked at the statute.
Anybody else? I mean, you know the shape the school district's in, so if the MUA had $1 million to give out, and they could give it out to the school district, why are you more deserving than they are in getting the money? They're in much worse shape than you are. Has nothing to do with who appoints the people to the MUA, does it?
Mr. Vasquez.
So, Mark Vasquez, 440, Lana Court. So to go back to that question that Mr. Bacon asked, who made the decision because it impacts our tax this year? Will anybody answer that? Did the mayor make it? Did the council make it?
No, I don't think we're going to answer a question about a decision
How does
from
that
last
matter?
year.
What? It impacts the taxes this year, does it not? Yes or no? It doesn't.
Do you have any further questions?
So
about
I
this
do have
year's
further
budget?
questions. We obviously collect taxes for the school board. So
Sorry?
we collect taxes for the school board, is that, or for the school district, is that correct?
We do.
Okay. Do we make interest on that, on collecting the taxes? Do we hold any additional funds and collect interest on that as well?
Yes, it's
They get paid?
just a pass-through. No.
Okay, but do we at all hold any additional funds from the school and collect interest on that at all? We do not? Okay, wonderful.
Mrs. Berg, don't we actually lose money because when we do tax appeals, we have to pay the money out and the school gets paid in full. So the
Because the
township
school-
actually loses money out.
To
on that.
add to her point, because the school gets paid monthly,
Mhm.
if there is an appeal and it's lost,
Mhm.
we don't go back to the school for the portion that, their portion that was lost.
Perfect, no problem. Perfect, fine, and I appreciate the answer for that. I wish you guys would answer who made the decision on 0% last year. But then the other question is are you willing to give that $1 million that the MUA is gonna give to you to the school district? Because you have class sizes of over 30. We have over 600 non-English speaking students who are learning by translating apps for teachers who are unqualified to teach that. And I think it's unfair to the school system that you guys are getting $1 million from the MUA and they're really in bad shape. And we're about to lose a bunch of teachers. Class sizes are going to increase. So I would love to know where you make that commitment on passing this budget that seems to be wonderful, which you claim to be 1.9 or whatever it is. Now it's going to be 4%, right? Would you be willing to give that money back or give the money to the school system? You don't really need it, right? It would be bad for politics probably if you had to make up that $1 million, but the school system needs it. So would you be willing to make that commitment to give it back to the school?
So I would like to just make one point. This is not a policy decision for me to answer, but we've met with the superintendent and the business administrator, my colleague across the street. They asked us for a few things.
Okay.
Both of those things we have done. So we work with them to provide the assistance that they ask us to provide.
Okay.
So we have a clear track record of supporting them in many, many, many ways to help offset their hardship.
So can you make the commitment that you'll give $1 million to the school system that desperately needs it, where kids are suffering and they're going to lose on an education? So not you, obviously you don't make the final decision on that, but would this council and this mayor make that decision tonight publicly to give the $1 million that the MUA is going to give you to the school system that desperately needs it? Yes or no?
Didn't this council publicly authorize the purchase of the Bretton Woods track, which is what they asked us to do? That exceeds the cost of $1 million?
Yes, we did.
But that doesn't answer my question though. That's wonderful that you guys, you're working to give what you can.
That's over $1 million.
That's fine,
that just
but that doesn't cover the deficit that the state won't give us, right? And it doesn't help at all to, we bought a track, I'm sorry, you said we bought a track that they wanted? I apologize, I didn't hear that part.
We bought the tract of land that they want.
Okay, perfect. So what's the additional $1 million? We're not willing to give that to the school system that needs it more than you? I mean, tough decisions need to be made because you have a bunch of kids that are suffering in our school system
We have over 600 non-English speaking students that are suffering even more, and that's only going to put a greater burden.
Mr. Vasquez, we opened this public hearing by stating that matters of the school, matters of the county are not germane.
This is
to
a matter of the
conversation.
township. Is the township willing to give $1 million of their money that's coming from the MUA and put it towards the school system? Yes, no. If you want to say no, then that's fine. You made the decision. You said no.
Don't put any words in my mouth.
I'm just saying, if you say no, then it's no. It's no big deal. You said no, we got to budget the balance, we got to do what we got to do. But if you're willing to say yeah, then you're helping the school system a little bit more. That's wonderful. We did what we could, but we're just asking you, can you give that money to the school system? And then figure out how you're going to make it up. Cut something else, right? $1 million for parks. That's wonderful. If we need to use it, great. Whatever the case may be, but the school system is suffering. So will this township be willing to give the money to the school system? Yes, no. You could just tell me no if you don't want to do it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Call.
Nan Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. I will tell you, what did I say? Did I say Greenbrier Boulevard, or did I by any chance say Empire Boulevard? That's another state, where I lived near. What has just been shown is that, have you ever heard, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, meaning that every single person who lives within the defined area, be it a state, a county, a federal government, we need more people gathering in a body to speak, similar to how some of the states run their primary and that they do caucuses. The people that are out there that aren't at this meeting, there are so many of them who know so much better on how to handle these things that we've been talking about. Throwing money at any problem isn't good, and it's been shown. We need more traffic lights out there, and although they belong not to the township, we pick up the freight on it. There's a lot that needs to be discussed, and we cannot go on like this where a few people are making decisions in an autocratic way. We need to have a meeting at least once a month for the whole township to be able to gather. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, everybody's not going to come out. But we need to find a venue and not do it as a formal meeting, do it more as a brainstorming meeting. What can we do and how can we do it? And I just add now, because I'm old and I forget what I went into the other room for. So when I sat down, I mentioned before that there had been an accident down in Manchester. It turned out that the most severe injuries were suffered by a Brick Township young woman, lady, more like a young girl maybe, and that there's a GoFundMe page. We should think about funding something like that, but we should think more about how do we stop these accidents from happening. And that's not done with just a few people talking. It's done with the whole town talking.
Mr. Foster.
Sam Foster, 102 Chico Drive. Quick question, I'm going to split this up. I'll ask these questions, most of these are in public comments because I think they're more appropriate there. Just wanted to bring up a comment on what was just discussed here. First of all, I have said this before, and I think it's the best way to deal when you're dealing with the government is to keep it on legal grounds. What is legal? Because what your opinion is going to be different than mine, but the law should supersede, and it does, our personal opinions. Now, With that in mind, I would like to know what legal grounds Council President Ambrosino has for refusing to say we can't discuss prior year's budget issues and refuse to answer the questions by the man in the back. I forgot his name, the man in the red shirt. Was that Garcia? Or Vasquez? Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Vasquez's question about, and also why you refused to answer the question about if the school system received the money instead of the Township of Brick. What legal grounds? You don't care about your personal opinion. I'm a former Ocean County Democratic committeeman, so I can tell Mr. Finelli the answer about certain things about who tells who to do. Legal grounds. We have an attorney here. What legal grounds do you have for refusing those questions?
Would you like to answer that, Mr. Neal?
And if I'm wrong, I appreciate the.
I'll be glad to answer that.
Okay, thank you.
The Council Vice President who's acting as the chair tonight is correct in his response.
Could you speak
This
into the
is a
microphone?
hearing-
I can't hear you.
It's on. The Council Vice President who's acting as the chair was correct in his comment. This is a budget hearing on the 2024 municipal budget. This is not a hearing on the 2023 municipal budget. So you're asking a question of what a majority of this governing body did a year ago. They voted.
Okay.
You can
no,
go and
no,
look
ahead.
at the resolution and go in the clerk's office tomorrow and you can look up who voted yes and who voted no on the budget resolution. That is the only question that the council has to ask. There'll be a point in time in this meeting where they'll be asked to vote yea or nay on the resolution and adopt the budget. And that was your question, who voted? It's a public record who voted on the resolution. This is a hearing on the 2024 budget. It's not the 22, 21, 20. It's 2024 budget.
But as Mr. Finelli
this
stated,
budget, this hearing and this public comment is for questions about the 2024 budget.
and as Mr.
Your
Finelli
question-
stated,
Your
I
question,
understand.
his question was not about the 2024.
I understand it, but as Mr. Finelli stated, we don't have the information from the 24 budget. You have given us the budget from 2023, so it's outdated. So how are we supposed to discuss something when we don't have that information in front of us? In fact, you
That
have
wasn't
already
what your
said.
question just was. Your question to me
I
was-
understand that.
Your
You're
question
answered
to
that.
me, and I think I answered your question.
Yeah, okay.
We're here to vote on the
Well,
2024 budget.
That's, well,
If you want to know about the 2023, go back and look at the minutes and look at the
no,
the
no.
resolution
Be-
from
The
last year.
point
It's public
is,
record.
the point is, it's already been stated by this administration that you're going to release the 2024 budget after today's meeting. But we don't have any hearing enabling the public to discuss that.
No, that's what this is.
This is, but you don't have the budget from 2024, as Mr. Finelli stated.
Yes, there's just a misunderstanding. It is the 2024 budget as introduced, that's in the back. It's not
Okay.
the 2023. Tonight, if the council votes on an amendment, which they haven't voted on yet, so it's not in place,
Okay.
then that will be changed. Then that will be changed and available to the public. What's in the back is what we introduced for 2024.
Okay, then why was there a discussion between Mr. Finelli about whether or not the information was outdated?
Because of the amendment.
Okay, so it's just the amendment, but the budget itself is already there.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I came in late, so I didn't get the, okay. Now, Mr. Cunoli, first of all, thank you for the information. I appreciate that. But since you're discussing the 2024 budget, the issue is if you're going to bring up prior year's budgets and discuss it, which you have done, then why can't we citizens do the same thing?
The council is voting on the 2024 budget.
I understand
They
that.
didn't- They didn't bring it up. It was a question from the audience that asked about last year's budget, which is really not relevant to what this hearing is. This hearing is about the 2024 budget.
I think there's a question about why the money was given from, I think it was the MUA,
That's
went
this
to
year.
the town, that's this year's budget?
This
So-
year, the MUA is giving $1 million to the town.
Exactly, so again,
2024.
and when a citizen asks, why isn't that money going to the Board of Education, which needs it more than Township Brick, Vice President Ambrosino refused to
Maybe a
answer it.
question for the MUA or the Board of Ed.
But we are getting that money from the MUA, it's gonna be in the budget, correct? And it's the 2024 budget, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, so why isn't why is it an improper or prohibited legally from discussing that money that we received in the budget?
comments, Mr.
Why
Foster.
didn't that money go to the budget of the Board of Education, as Mr. Finelli, I believe it was, said?
That's not part of the Brick Township's proposed budget.
Is the money going into the budget in 2024?
Yes.
Then it's part of the budget.
Yes, to be used by the township.
Yes, so why is Mr. Finelli's, see, this is what's frustrating talking to people. If you're going to admit that the Brick MUA has given $1 million, whatever it was, to the Township of Brick, it's in the 2024 budget, you and Mr. Kinley keep saying that this is discussion about the 2024 budget. If the money is in the 2024 budget, Mr. Finelli, whoever it was brought this up, I think it was Mr. Finelli, has every right to ask, why is that money in the 2024 budget for the Township of Brick? Why wasn't it given to the Board of Education, which needs the money more?
That would be a question for the MUA.
No, it's a question of us, because we are the ones that, by your own admission, you said that the money is in this year's 2024 budget.
Correct.
So it's this is a
Taylor,
budget
you've
hearing.
answered the question.
So the
answered your
question,
question, sir.
what's that?
He's answered your
He
question,
answered it
sir.
improperly, just like you people have been doing for years.
Very
It's
good.
double speak, that's all it is. The money, this is supposed to be a discussion about the 2024 budget, which received $1 million, or whatever it was, I don't know how much it was, from the MUA. And the question which you people are refusing to answer and give double speak about is, why was the money put into 2024 budget for the Township of Brick and not go to the school system? And you can double talk all you want to, but first you're saying that this is about discussions about the 2024 budget. You
You're
yourself
repeating
admit.
yourself, Mr. Foss. You're just repeating yourself.
So, as I said, you, Mr. Kinley, yourself, and others have said, this is a discussion tonight about the 2024 budget. You're very specific about that. The 2024 budget includes money from the Brick MUA. The question that Mr. Finley asked was, very specifically, why was the money put into 2024 budget and didn't go to the Board of Education? That's the question which you refuse to answer because, as I said before, you are too secretive about what you're doing with our money. And personally, I don't care if you get mad or not, I'm making any specific accusations, but if you don't like it, you can meet me in a courtroom. Personally, I think there's embezzlement going on in town. I do. I'm not going to mention any names. And Councilwoman Travis, you can know all you want to, but I'm tired of the faces. There you go. Because like I said before, this is exactly what incites people to misbehaving.
Is there anybody else that would like to be heard? Please sit down. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I won't beat a dead horse. It's an MUA question again, but it's a different angle. Who's the MUA liaison here?
I'm the liaison to the MUA.
Okay, I just want to. They do a good job over there. I know a lot of employees over there. They do a phenomenal job. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I was just curious, when do they notify the town about the $1 million they're going to give the town? Is it something that they budget for? Is it something that they come up with and say, oh, we have this in excess and let's, offer it to the town? When do you guys normally get notified that you're going to have that for your budget? Because I know this isn't the first time it's happened.
So there's several questions in there, some of which you need to direct to the
Yeah.
MUA. Can you speak to when we were notified?
Yes, so, I made the request.
Okay.
I sent a letter in, as I have many years in the past, asking if it was a good opportunity for them to give us $1 million, as it would be helpful to the taxpayers of Brick. I sent the letter. I received today via email a resolution from the MUA commissioners approving that request.
Okay, thank you. I do know some of the questions probably have to be answered by the MUA, and I'll follow up with Mr. Theodos in response to that. The other thing I just wanted to bring up is a former executive director of the MUA was a friend of mine at one point, and in talking with him, I thought the MUA and MUAs throughout the state are supposed to be nonprofit, and any profit they make is supposed to go towards capital projects and future projects for the authority. And like I said, they do a phenomenal job over there. We have the largest water treatment plant in Ocean County and probably the best water around. They raised our rates this year for the first time slightly, but if they were going to have an extra $1 million, what was the need to raise our rates? I know you can't necessarily answer that, but just something I want to throw out there that, to me, I was kind of confused. And again, I'll address it with them, and I'll speak
Very
to
good.
Mr. Theodos, but I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Are there any other comments? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to close this hearing.
Second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Albanese. Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feinman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes. We'll now move on to item number 4.
Authorized reading of budget by title only. Resolution to authorize reading of budget by title only, NJSA 40A:4-8 provides that the budget shall be read in full at the public hearing, or it may be read by its title only if, at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing and at the hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget shall be made available for public inspection and shall be available to each person upon request.
I move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion?
Roll call?
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feinman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Item number 4.2.
Authorized budget amendment. I have to read the whole thing. Are we ready? Whereas the local budget, municipal budget for the year 2024 was approved on the 25th day of March 2024, and whereas the public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and whereas the Township Council of the Township of Brick desires to amend the introduced and approved budget, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, that the following amendments to the appropriated 2024 budget be made. General revenues, miscellaneous revenues, Section B, state aid without offsetting appropriations. Energy receipts tax, Public Law 1997, Chapters 162 and 167, from $5,424,301 to $5,451,301. Total Section B, state aid without offsetting appropriations, from $5,986,201.87 to $6,013,201.87. Miscellaneous revenues, Section G, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent on the Director of Local Government Services, other special items, from $0 to $1 million. Total Section D, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, other special items, from $3,457,725.34 to $4,457,725.34. Summary of revenues, miscellaneous revenues, total Section B, state aid without offsetting appropriations, from $5,986,201.87 to $6,013,201.87. Total Section D, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, other special items, from $3,457,725.34 to $4,457,725.34. Total miscellaneous revenues, from $19,432,699.77 to $20,459,699.77. 5. Subtotal general revenues, items 1, 2, 3, and 4, from $32,875,118.87 to $33,902,118.87. 6. Amount to be raised by taxes for support of municipal budget, from $84,862,406.58 to $83,835,406.58. Total amount to be raised by taxes for support of municipal budget, from $84,862,406.58 to $83,835,406.58. Be it further resolved that 2 certified copies of this resolution will be filed with the Director of Local Government Services for certification of the 2024 municipal budget as amended.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion?
I move the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feinman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
I vote yes. This resolution is adopted. Move on to item number 4.3.
4.3. is the adoption of the 2024 municipal budget.
I move to adopt the 2024 municipal budget.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feinman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
We will now return to our regular agenda. Moving on to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Item 5.1.
Authorize temporary capital budget.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a temporary capital budget for 2024, which certifies the bond ordinances to be introduced later this evening for 2024 capital projects and equipment purchases. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.2.
Authorize award of contract operation of food truck at Brick Beach 3.
Councilwoman Travers.
Thank you, Council Vice President. This resolution authorizes an award of contract in the amount of $2,000 to Little Caesars Tums River for the operation of a food truck at Brick Beach 3. This contract is for the 2024 beach season, when the concession stand will likely be under construction for structural repairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.3.
Authorize negotiation of Summerfest food truck vendors remaining categories.
Councilman Feinman.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the township's business administrator to directly negotiate with food truck vendors to fill one or both of the specialty spot openings for food truck vendors at this year's Summerfest concert series. The township went out for bid twice for these two spots and did not receive any bids. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5.4.
Authorize shared services agreement for sign shop services, Point Pleasant Beach.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the renewal of a shared service agreement with Point Pleasant Beach for sign shop shared services. In this agreement, all expenses and staff time are reimbursed to the town.
Thank you. Item 5.5.
Authorize agreement for lifeguard services, Ocean Club at Manalucan Condominium Association.
Councilman Albanese.
Thank you, Council Vice President. This resolution authorizes the execution of lifeguarding services with Ocean Club at Manalocan. As in the past, the township provides lifeguard service for the neighboring beach, and all costs are covered through this agreement.
Thank you. Item 5.6.
Authorize adoption of Title VI non-discrimination policy.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the adoption of a non-discrimination policy in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in connection with the operation of Brick Township Senior Transportation Program as required by the grant funding from New Jersey Transit. Title VI prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. The Township of Brick is committed to ensuring that no person shall, on the grounds of race, color, national origin, be excluded from participation or denied the benefits of our service.
Thank you. Item 5.7. Bond releases.
5.7A is an inspection fund release for Block 854, Lot 4, and 7B is an inspection fund release for account 851075.
Thank you. Item 5.8. Tax collector.
8A is 100% DAV widow, a veteran deduction for Block 380.04, Lot 5. 8B is 100% DAV widow, a veteran deduction for Block 869.41, Lot 9. And 8C is a tax overpayment for the year 2023 at Block 1150, Lot 4.
Thank you. Item 5.9.
Authorize special event permit Bike MS Coast to Coast event.
I'll read this. This resolution authorizes the issuance of a special event permit to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society for a Bike MS Coast to Coast event to be held on Saturday, May 11th of 2024. Bicyclists will bike from Deal to Island Beach State Park and back in the bike lanes on Route 35 north and south. They have also received a permit from the NJDOT. That ends the consent agenda. I'll ask for a motion in a second. Open to council for questions. Seeing none, I'll open it to the public for questions on these resolutions only. Mr. Foster.
getting my tread work in today. I can use my big belly. Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. 2 questions on the consent agenda. The first one is number 4, shared services agreement. I remember that the Cropos administration, I believe it was them, had a consent shared service agreement. I think it was with the police department, some department, but I forgot who it was. But it was terminated by. I remember Mayor Ducey was talking about this when he became mayor. I asked the question to the council meeting why it was terminated, and he said that it was actually costing us money. He said that the shared service agreement was not very beneficial to the BRIC. I know, Ms. Berg, I think you're the CFO, correct? Berg. I'm sorry, Berg and Bergin. Yeah, I don't know which one. If which one who would be about? Do you know? I forgot what department it was, but it was. You, yeah, because you're the new business minister. But anyway, what assurances or procedures have you? Can you give us that this one will be fair in terms of it not being costing us money like the one? Has there been any studies done or anything like that?
This is a shared services agreement that will allow
Could you?
Point Pleasant.
I'm sorry. Could you?
Speaking into the microphone.
I
This is a
can't hear
shared
very well.
services agreement that will allow Point Pleasant to use our sign shop services, for which they will reimburse us.
Yeah, so it's a very different scenario from the shared service agreement that
Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's a very different scenario from the one that the township exited with at the time. It was with Tom's River for a building department.
Okay.
So that was all of the
That's
permits,
right,
all
yeah.
the inspections, all the permit review, the processing of permits. That's an enormous undertaking for a
Okay.
town this size, never mind to try to merge that with the town the size of Tom's River.
Gotcha.
So it was 2 humongous services shared by 2 large towns.
Okay, yeah.
This is different. This is not for all of the signs that they want to do in Point Pleasant. The veteran signs that are outside of Windward, if you've ever noticed them, and next time you're on Princeton, take a look if you haven't.
I don't
have
dare, so
been-
I pass that almost every day. So.
Okay, they've been greatly admired by other towns, so they have asked us if we could make the same sign. So it's not every stop sign or road sign or no parking sign, it's just for the veteran signs, which we did successfully with Bayhead, and we didn't lose any money on that, and now we're doing that with Point Pleasant Beach.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second question is, and I have a question before I ask this question, it's number 6. Authorize adoption of the non-discrimination policy. This is under civil rights law?
It's under the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and this is just because of, I believe, Mrs. Bergen, Aurora, we just changed the building, correct?
Yeah, so the policy is required because we get money from the county for our senior services program. That money comes from the federal government, trickle down to the counties, down to municipalities. So because of that, because some of the money that we get is federal money, we are required to adopt this policy, which we have had in place, as Councilwoman DeYoung said, for many years. But now that we have opened Aurora and seniors are located there, we had to amend the policy to make sure we're including all of the addresses of where we operate services.
Okay, I have a question about this, and I know it's going to raise some hairs on your necks, but I'm sorry, I have to ask this question. You all know I'm a disabled person, and my question is similar to what I asked about number 4, and that is, what guarantee, and I'm asking this as a disabled person, which I'm supposed to have rights under federal law, civil rights law, ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but you all know what I put up with at the meeting here. I've told you people I'm disabled, and I've had my rights. I'm not going to make this, I don't want to be antagonistic, Mr. Keeley, so don't take it that way. But I've had my rights not respected. Just happened just now. You know that I have a slight hearing loss, Councilman Ambrosino. I said this to Councilman Minichini when he threw a screaming temper tantrum at me. When I ask you to speak into the microphone, it's for my benefit as a disabled person who is hard of hearing. I asked Miss Bergen, and she spoke into it. It doesn't matter if everybody in the room can hear you. I can't. I'm a disabled person. ADA requires, Mr. Kinley can tell you this, reasonable accommodations to be provided to a disabled person. I can't hear as good as you people can. If I say I can't hear you, you are legally required under federal law to speak up. You do it. Councilman Minichino does it. And I'm tired of it. How can we have any faith that you're going to abide by federal civil rights law under resolution number 6 when you people can't even do something as simple as speak up and not scream and curse at me during a council meeting. And you people wonder why I lose my temper. Seriously, what is wrong with you people? You know, I've got a civil rights lawsuit pending against the township, and I'm not trying to be antagonistic, Mr. Kinnelly, but I mean it. I've had it. You don't listen. Maybe a judge will straighten it out for you.
Thank you, Mr. Foster.
You are welcome. And don't yell at me either.
Are there any other comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Yes.
Councilman Feynman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers?
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino?
Yes. Move on to item 510, bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $24,897,829.89.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council for questions on the bill resolution only. Seeing none, open to public for questions on the bill resolution only. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Albanese?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Abstain community services, yes to the rest, please.
Councilman Feynman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers?
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 511, manual bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,935,588.74.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council for questions. Seeing none, open to public for questions on the manual bill resolution only. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Yes.
Councilman Feynman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers?
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino?
Yes. Move on to item 6.1, ordinance on first reading. I'll remind everybody there is no public hearing on first reading.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,869,570, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,726,092 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the costs thereof.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. This explanation will be for the bond ordinances for all the lives, the 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, and 15-year. The 2024 capital budget totals $10 million. At the outset, the total request for capital funds exceeded $20 million, but the department heads worked hard to back into manageable numbers. Highlights for the 2024 capital budget include improvements to Brick Beach 3 concession building, year 1 of our park safety surface replacement program, with Freedy Park scheduled as the first priority for 2024, a high water response vehicle for the police department, remounting 2 ambulances, cameras and lights at Pinewood Park, a sidearm garbage truck and rear loading garbage truck for DPW, and funds toward the permitting and design of the DPW Public Works Master Site Plan. This year's capital budget also includes $75,000 design cost for a new public safety building that the township would like to build on the barrier island. The new building will house the police department, including summer crossing guards, EMS, and the fire department. The capital budget also includes over $3 million in upfront costs to begin the dredge marshland restoration project. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Open to council for questions on the 5-year life bond ordinance. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Albanese?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Yes.
Councilman Feynman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers?
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino?
Yes. Item 6.2, bond ordinance 7-year life.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $441,100 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $419,045 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council for questions. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes. Item 6.3, bond ordinance 10-year life.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $3,811,570, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,620,991 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council for questions. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Albanese. Councilwoman Pontoriero. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes. Item 6.4, bond ordinance 15-year life.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,877,760, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,733,872 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Open to council for questions. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, public comments.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you very much. Ms. Call.
This side I belong on. My mind traveled like it did when you were still on the consent agenda, and one of the things I want to talk about is at the same time as the last council meeting I went to, I think it was the next night I went to the planning board meeting. And lo and behold, they don't seem to have a problem with having block 380.04 lot 5, and then immediately following it, the address that we recognize that as. And I did comment at that meeting about how I felt that that was very good of them, and they were quite happy to get the compliment. So I repeat, every time you use block and lot, that means nothing to us. This is a public meeting in which we are supposed to become informed. Give us what we need. Keep the lot and block, that's fine. Or don't keep it, that would be fine too. But give us an address. And you said there's no no ability to comment on it on first reading. That's not the correct phrase. It is not mandatory to have it open to comments from the people. It is optional, and going way back to the days of Joe Scarpelli, who wasn't supposed to be so involved in council meetings, but he would frequently get involved, and he was always willing to have us stay and speak on things on first meeting at the caucus meeting, which was the week before the public meeting. So you could do that, and you would probably have better. But it's more important that you've got to start listening to the people. There has to be, I would say, once a month. You now have 2 extra weeks since they don't use the system that they did when Mayor Scarpelli was here, where you had a caucus this week and the public the next week with the same subject matter, and both of them frequently went as long as each other. That's why we had taken it and changed it to a combined caucus/public, but you don't have a caucus meeting. Caucus meetings allows us to talk on everything until we're satisfied that we know what's going on. So I suggest that you get to know your people in your town, have a meeting at least once a month somewhere, and maybe in Civic Center, where the people can talk about not just what's on an agenda, but what's in their minds. And one of the first things I would talk about is the streets and getting somebody here who has the rule books, the textbooks, whatever it takes as to how much room you should have. There was a big fuss about putting the trees back into, where do you live, Joe, Jack? Evergreen Woods. If you take a ride up, or is it down? I think it's down, Burnt Tavern Road to Stop and Shop in the next town, Point Pleasant, you will see before you get to that point that there is a median, an island, whatever you want to call it, that is a very wide space with a grassy area and trees. And that is how it should be for all of the areas where you have such a high speed and so many cars that are going both ways to keep the lights from going into the driver of the opposite direction car. There is so much in this town that is way off the whack, and people ought to start bringing suits against you for it.
Thank you, Ms. Call. Any other comments from public? Mr. Saluka.
John Saluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I think this Thursday is the Board of Ed meeting, just in case anybody feels like going. Question concerning the new Aldi's before I get started on my letter. Behind the Aldi's, we have a bunch of stuff. Do we have groundbreaking or anything like that? Do we know? From the sports dome or whatever that thing is?
So they just.
That's not a dome.
They had to go back before the planning board to modify. It's no longer a dome. It's going to be a Butler building because of the difficulties they encountered trying to get a sprinkler system, which is required
Right.
for the safety of the kids that'll be in the dome. They went back before the planning board and very recently came into resolution compliance, which means they can now submit for their permits. They have not done that yet, but that's what we're.
But that's the next step.
And then
Okay.
we would, of course, schedule a groundbreaking.
Okay. I mean, the council should also consider, once they start making money and giving the town the money, the normal tax rate would be about 55% goes to the school board. Right now, under that plan, 0 goes to the school board. It makes no sense. Just because we have a specialized agreement, I know the state says you're allowed to do it. Let's not be allowed. Let's automatically just change it, which we're allowed to do, I guess. Okay, my letter. April 10, 2024, to Mayor Crate, Council President Vincent Minikino, all Brick councilmen and councilwomen, and all the people of Brick. Many 14 to 20 foot pollution, noise, and safety walls are needed alongside the Garden State Parkway. Additionally, an increase in the number of trees and brush is needed alongside the Garden State Parkway throughout Brick Township and other parts of Ocean County. The people of Evergreen Woods, Greenbrier, Briar Mill, Cherrywood, and the students, teachers, and workers in the schools such as Lanes Mill, Brick High, and Lake Riviera, and those working at the town hall and library die prematurely. The council comments at the meeting is a great opportunity for the mayor and the council for members to show that they care for the residents of the township. This may not be their first opportunity to stand up, but it is an opportunity to speak out about the dangers to our residents of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority forced upon us 10 years ago or so. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority looked at the financial benefit of their supporters without regard to the impact on the residents of the area. Everyone may know that the New Jersey Turnpike put a group of trees in the Evergreen Woods area, which were maintained by the association. Of the approximately 83-foot trees that are now 6 foot, 7 foot, 10, 12 foot tall, and a lot of room in between each one, still maintained by the association in a row, just one row, near the Garden State Parkway. Obviously, the kids could see this stuff. Between the trees, there's a gap of 5 foot. That's a lot of gap. This may be nothing better than its nice feeling and adds to the aesthetics, but does very little to aid the children waiting at the bus stops, swimming in the pools, playing in the playgrounds, or in fact, living in Evergreen Woods. These trees are obviously not sufficient and do little to help the residents. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority does not care and has basically does nothing to advance for the residents of the Brick Township or Evergreen Woods or anywhere else in Brick Township. The World Health Organization suggests the main pollutants are particulate matter, a mix of solid and liquid droplets arising mainly from fuel combustion and road traffic, nitrogen dioxide from road traffic and indoor cookeries, sulfur dioxide from burning fossil fuels, and ground level caused by the reaction of sunlight with pollutants on the emissions. This is the ozone that we hear about. The pollutants that affect the people the most is the particulate matter. And that causes an air pollution. Obviously, everything in that causes air pollution. Our engines continue to pump out dirty emissions. 9 out of 10 people die prematurely because they breathe the polluted air. And it kills over 7 million people every year throughout the world, not the United States and not in New Jersey and not in Evergreen Woods. But total, 7 million people is a lot of people. The health effects of air pollution are serious. 1/3 of the deaths from stroke, lung cancer, heart disease are due to the air pollution. This is having the equivalent effect of smoking tobacco. I thought we wanted to get rid of smoking tobacco. And much higher than, say, eating too much salt. Thanks for your time. If I didn't say it, John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I
Thank
go
you,
back
Mr.
10
Sluka.
seconds.
Anybody else from public? Mr. Finelli.
You mentioned last time I was up here that the MUA has given you money before, and I remember they have. Could anybody tell me roughly, it doesn't have to be totally accurate, how many times in the last 10 years the MUA has given you money?
2014, 15, 16, and 17.
14, 15, 16, 17. So at 5 times they've given you money in the last 10 years.
Including tonight? That
Yeah,
would be fine.
okay. Has it always been $1 million? Okay. So in effect, my way of thinking, the MUA is collecting tax revenue for you. They're doing it by charging us for our water and sewer because they have $1 million to give you quite often. And if that's not illegal, it really should be. Because you're getting money for your budget from them on a consistent basis. And that's wrong. I'm a single person and I pay minimum on water whether I use it or not, and they're funding you. Last meeting, at the end of the meeting when it was board comments, we had a dissertation about fully funding the police department. So I have a couple of questions or comments about that. The size of Brick, the geographic footprint, has not gotten any larger as far as I know, still the same size. According to the last census, which was 2020, I realize it's a couple years old, Brick Township went down 3,000 people from 77,000 to 74,000. So we're not growing people, we're losing people. We're not growing geography, yet we consistently need more. And I use the word more. We need more police. We need more special police. we need more dispatchers, we need more bullets, we need more everything. And I specifically remember the last time we wanted special police, we were going from 5 to 8. And the reason we wanted the 3 was so that they could do the bookings and whatnot, and they could do the court security and whatnot, and that would put more regular police out on the street. And I didn't disagree with that. Makes sense to me. Now the number I'm hearing was we need 15 special police, and that's what we were always budgeted for or what we were planning for. The last time there was no discussion about 15, it was get to 8. So if nothing is changing, why do we keep needing more? What's going on that's making it that we have to have more?
So the sidebar contract that the council approved with the PBA for special police officers allowed 25. 99% sure the number's 25. Oh, thank you. So that has always been our number for the past decade is 25. Now the number, the reason you see a lot of swearing-ins over time is because they leave. Some of them go on to the police academy to become police officers. One went on to the fire department to become a fireman. They go and they do other things. They leave. So we're swearing in so that we're keeping the force at the 25 that we originally agreed to when we did the PBA contract sidebar for the special police officers.
So in this contract says you will have 25 or you're allowed to have 25?
This contract remains unchanged from when we first did the sidebar with the PBA for specials. It's 25 now, it was 25 then.
Joanne, you didn't answer my question.
I'm sorry.
My question is, does it say you have to have 25 or you're allowed to have 25?
We're allowed to have up to 25.
Okay, so you don't have to have 25.
No, we don't.
All right, and this is something that you negotiated with the PBA?
I did not, this was in
Well,
place.
well,
before I got
okay, I didn't mean you personally.
Okay.
This was negotiated.
Correct,
So there's nothing that says you have to have 25.
that's correct.
Okay, but that's what you're striving for.
That's the number that we work with. We know we can have 25, we know we can have up to 25, so we try to, kind of like we do with our police roster. We know what the number of the roster is. There's a lot of moving parts, and you're always trying to make sure you have enough people to serve the function that they're intended to do.
How many do you
Special
ha- how
police
many-
officers have very specific responsibilities and duties that they cover for the Township of Brick, like you said, to allow the police officers to be out on the road doing other things.
So how many do you have now?
I don't know what the current roster is. I couldn't tell you.
Take a
without
guess.
looking.
Is it anywhere near 25?
Probably. Probably close to 20.
So are you going to try to get 25?
We always do.
Huh?
We're always,
And what are you going to do with them?
they have very specific roles and responsibilities in the contract which we use them for, which
Is
you articulated earlier.
there a shortfall? I mean, are you hurting? Is there some reason why you have to have them? And not that you can. I mean, we always hear that. Well, we can have this. The law allows. We say we can do this. We can do that. We can do the other thing. You know, you can do what you want on the cap, but the school district can only do 2%. You can do it is not a reason to do it. You can do it. If you don't need them, then don't hire them.
We absolutely do need them. They fulfill a very specific responsibility in the police department for the Township of Brick. We absolutely do need them.
So, tell me what areas they're
You
not
already
doing it now.
articulated it yourself. So they do bookings.
They do
So
bookings
the
now.
police
They do the
off-
court.
The police officers don't have to come off the road to do a booking. They're done by the special police officers.
So is there more booking that you need more of them to do more booking?
I don't know how many arrests we had last year. I'm sure the chief covered that in his police presentation.
I guess my next question is the beauty. Is crime going up? That we need more people? Because I always hear that it's not.
Well, yeah, the goal is not for crime to go up because we're out there being proactive and we have our specials at all of our events and we have our specials doing traffic detail. All of these things that keep the police officers doing what it is that they do.
All right, just my ending comment. You know, we heard other people talking about zero budgets and everything else. You realize that we in New Jersey are the highest tax state in the country, by far. Nobody even close to us. And even a 1 year of no tax raise just means you didn't raise the taxes, but everybody else did, right? And if what you're looking at now is going to be what you raise, what the school board raises, and what all those other people that I mentioned last year raises, right? Everybody's money's going up. Me personally, I like a 0% increase, but that doesn't make me happy, because we're the highest tax state in the country. A decrease would make me happy. That would be nice. And just for you to say that we negotiated with the PBA, that don't mean we need to hire another 5 or 6 or 7. If we don't need them, we don't need them, whatever the number says. Thank you.
Vasquez for 40 Lana Court. So I would like to second that this council should really think about doing workshop meetings or caucus meetings, however you want to put it. It is unfair for us to find out about what you're doing last minute, not have a budget set up, not having discussions, not being able to talk about it, things really you never answering questions unless it fits your agenda. That needs to change. The other thing, also as a resident of Evergreen Woods, Mr. John has been reading his letter for 10 plus years, I think it is now, right? 10 plus years. I live close to the parkway, so I'm used to hearing the sounds and the construction and anything that goes on, the races and everything else. It's frustrating, though, that this body, and not necessarily every single one of you because you haven't been around for 10 years, but he reads this letter every single council meeting. And then some of you spend the time to stare at your phones or look down because you've heard it over and over and over again. And that is unfair to him. 10 plus years this man has been coming to almost every meeting unless he's sick. And we do nothing about that. I know it's not in our wheelhouse and we can't make the final decision. I understand that, and you can shake your head as much as you want. That's completely fine. But the reality is that someone is coming to you for 10 plus years begging you for help. Now, I happen to go to meet some people that this impacts because they live literally right there against the parkway. Fathers worried about their kids because their kids are waking up in the middle of the night because they're hearing the sounds. They're worried about, yes, their health. Now, obviously, I'm no health expert, so I couldn't give you whether that really does impact, whether it creates autism. I can't answer those questions. But as a person who lives in Evergreen Woods, I could tell you, yeah, it's really annoying. And then you have a council who would rather look down and text. That's annoying, and that's unfair. And so I don't know where we got to this idea that for some reason we're just an audience. No, we're your tax-paying voters. Well, we're the tax-paying voters that are telling you this is what we're worried about, this is what we're thinking about. And then you ignore it, you laugh at it. And then this poor guy, Teddy, you push the buttons, man. You love to push the buttons because as soon as you have the authority to it, you love to use it. And we've seen this over and over with you again. And so as public comments, I would love that you guys make a workshop meeting so that the community can engage with you. So before you vote, we've had the opportunity to tell you, hey, we like this, or hey, maybe we don't need 25 right now, we should do 15 because things are rough out there. How many people in Brick Township are barely affording the bills right now, buying food, but yet you did 0% now, and you didn't want to discuss why you did 0% last year, and now you're increasing the budget and you're claiming 1.9 when we know it's 4%. So you're doing this whole show, right, so that those who really don't pay attention will vote for you again. So you say, oh, don't do politics here, but all you do is politics all day long, every council meeting. And that's very frustrating. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are impacted, right? You live here, you're gonna get paid, we're paying health insurance, is that correct? Yeah. For them? Okay. Why don't you give that back? Send it to the school system. Do you really need it? Will you give that $1 million to the school system? Probably not. But you should. Because this damn town needs it. We're desperate for help. And the only thing I see here is just whatever works for you guys so you can pass it and move it on. We still got about 1 minute and 20 seconds, so I'll keep preaching. So the reality is, what is this? And actually, I do have a question for you. As the liaison to the MUA, did you at all have the discussion about this money that's coming over? Were you aware of it at all? Yes. You were, okay. Did you at all decide or say, hey, the school system needs it before we do? Did you tell Joanne Bergen not to send a letter because maybe that should have gone to the school system? Why did you not? So you made the best decision for what looked best for you guys, right? That's obviously everything is for the town. We know that, right? So it doesn't really matter. But why did you take? You're raising. The school system needs it more than your budget does, big time, big time. And you're taking it. Yeah, and he makes a really good point. How is it that they're collecting taxes for you somehow, and then you're getting paid for it? Well, it's not really. They're not necessarily saying we're going to collect the taxes, right? They have the profit, and you're getting it, right? So you got it 5 times, $5 million. So you got. I wasn't really talking to you. I apologize, but the MUA gave you guys $5 million over 5 years, right? Gave the town $5 million. Why did you not give why did you say no? Why wouldn't you say no when you're the liaison? Do you ever talk to the school board at all? You never answer questions. This is the point of what the problem is with this council. You guys never answer questions when it's tough for you, right? You love to turn it around. It's for the town. It's for this. But when it's real, when we're asking you a real question about our school system is suffering, when that budget comes out and people see what we have to lay off, oh boy, it's going to be rough here in Brick. And they're part of our infrastructure. And so, but it's for the town. What you're doing is for the town. I'm sorry, say again? I don't have any kids. Does that matter though? Me and my wife plan to have kids, right? So then it does matter, right? Oh, well, I forgot. Taxpayers don't matter in the school system. Taxpayers don't matter in the school system. Most of the taxes taken that you guys approve is going to the school system. Is it not? Well, they don't, I'm sorry, excuse me. The Board of Education approves that. I apologize.
The governing body does not adopt or vote on the school board budget. And that was very clear in the original instructions as to why they were not commenting on the school board budget or the county budget. This is not the appropriate forum to discuss those budgets. They have a building across the street, and they will have a public hearing on their budget, at which time anyone is free to go in public comment. This council is busy enough dealing with the town's budget of police and public works and maintaining public property. It's not their duty to oversee the school board's budget or the county's budget.
But this is
the town collects the taxes, and that is strictly a job of the tax collector, and we act as a pass-through in doing that. But that's not their role to comment or impose their opinions on the school board budget.
Yeah, but they're part of this community, are they not? And so
they are not imposing the school board budget on anyone.
I understand that they're not imposing the school board budget, but is there a liaison to the school board on this council? Is anybody here a liaison? I know you were a liaison at one point, correct? There's no liaison now, so you guys are not communicating with the school board.
That's inaccurate. We stated already that we have sat down with them and we talked about ways that we could work with them.
Who's we?
Ms. Bergen and I.
And nobody from the council, the deciding body who approves or disapproves the budget. You may not like it.
You asked if we communicated with the school board, and I'm telling you that we do.
Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't really answer, right? So the council is making the best decision, right, for politics, not for the people. Let's not pretend the facade is what's best for the people, right? Because if it was, a council member would have been a liaison, would have spoken to the superintendent who is saying, yeah, we need money, and we're suffering. And you would have then made that decision to say, well, we're getting this $1 million from the MUA. That really should go to the school system.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else from public? Seeing none, close public. Ms. Bergen.
If you'll allow, Council President, I'd like to see if Maureen can take my summary in case she has any closing.
I just wanted to say to anybody that was saying that nothing's, you can't get your hands on budgets. Everything, like tomorrow, the budget will be put up on our website. Everything is up there at your convenience to go up there to look, the annual debt statement, the annual financial statement, the audits. Everything is public knowledge and out there for you to see. So I don't, I just wasn't understanding why everyone was saying you can't see anything. It's published on our website. We have to have 4 or 5 years up there going back. So I just wanted it to be clear that everything is out there for everyone to see.
Thank you for that clarification. Ms. Berg. Mayor Crate.
Thank you. I want to congratulate our new officer, Jesse Lyon, welcome him to the family, and look forward to seeing him serving here in Brick Township. I also wanted to just mention a couple of things that we have coming up, but first I'd be remiss if I didn't thank both Ms. Bergen and Mo for sitting here and being available to answer all the questions that people had, and all of your hard work that went into making this budget a reality, and we appreciate you, so thank you. I wanted to just briefly thank the Brick Little League and the Brick American Little League for inviting myself and the council out for their opening days, and to remind everyone that this year is the 50th anniversary of girls playing Little League, so it's Girls with Game 50, so if you're out there cheering on some teams, you're going to see a lot of girls out there playing. We had a lot of girls celebrating on a couple weeks ago on Saturday when they had their openers, so congratulations to them, and I hope that they both have wonderful seasons. The second thing that I wanted to just bring awareness to is we have our next pickup brick is this Saturday. It's from 10 to 2, but it's really like 10 to 1-ish. It will be at Riverwalk Refuge, and that's off of Manaloking Road near Venata Woods. So we look forward to seeing a good turnout there. I'm not familiar with that area. Actually, I haven't really walked those paths yet, but I always wear my boots because you never know how wet something's going to be. Although I don't see rain being called in the forecast too much this week, so sneakers or boots would be appropriate for. But otherwise, we supply everything else: the gloves, the bags, the buckets, all that stuff. So hopefully, we'll see a good crowd come on out for that. The next thing is our senior citizen prom is coming up. I know I've mentioned it before, but it is a great night. It's taking place on Friday, May 3rd from 6 to 9 at Civic Plaza. If you're interested in attending, you can reach out to our recreation department and they'll reserve your spot. It's a great night with a band. My mayor's student advisory will be there. Those students will be there serving and dancing with everyone. So if you're interested, we don't really, as adults, at least I don't, have the opportunity to dance that often with friends, and I'm past the point of lots of people getting married in my life, so that was really that ship has sailed. So getting to go to events like this are fun because it gives you the opportunity to dance, and I think dancing makes people happy. So love to see you out for that. I did host a lunch today, or we hosted a lunch today here in Town Hall for our Brick Chamber of Commerce. We've been making some very good connections with our chamber. If you are a small business in town, if you're a big business in town and you have not reached out to our chamber, they are growing and they offer some wonderful ways to become a part of the chamber and also to support each other, because that's the whole purpose of this chamber, is for businesses here in town to support each other and for us to be able to work with them to make our community better. Small businesses here in Brick Township are really the backbone of our community, and I was very happy to host that lunch today, and I look forward to working with a lot of people from the chamber going forward. And finally, Ms. Bergen and I had the opportunity this morning to meet with Assemblyman Kenitra. It was a great meeting. We met with him and his staff. We had conversations about ways that we can work together with him through the state to get a lot of the things here in Brick Township that we think are important to our residents rolling. And I was very happy to have that meeting and continue that relationship going forward and seeing different ways that we can work together. So other than that, that's all I have, and I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Keneally.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk. Lynette.
Nothing, thank you.
Madam Secretary.
No, thank you.
Councilman Albanese.
Yeah, May 18th, the 12th Annual Green Fair will be at 515 Herbersville Road from 10 to 2. I hope that you all can make it. That's it.
Councilwoman Ponterero.
Thank you.
I want to commend Ms. Bergen and Ms. Berg for your wonderful and concise budget presentations and trying to articulate it in a way so that all of us can help appreciate all of the time and hard work and effort that you guys have used to back in to a number that is manageable. I don't know how you work the magic that you work, but I know that it occurs on a daily basis because everyone complains that no one says yes. And I don't want them to say yes, I want them to make the right fiscal decision. So I applaud your efforts, even though sometimes you get backlash for it. And thank you to all of the members of the community to come out and listen to these budget presentations and try to make sense out of it. I know it's not easy. I've talked to some residents who have been watching on the BTV each presentation, and I've only gotten wonderful responses of how much they learned and understood. So thank our department heads who have been presenting in the past weeks. Thank you, and have a good night.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. I too want to thank Mo and Joanne. You guys always make understanding the budget much easier for me. And of course, our township employees who do all of the work to continue always trying to make Brick better. A couple other events that we have going on. The PBA is hosting their Helping Hands basketball game. It is the PBA versus I believe it's the Green Dragons seniors football team, and it is held in the Dragon's Den on Friday, May 3rd. It starts at 5:30, and this year that it is benefiting the Favia and Doherty families who are facing financial hardships due to medical illness. You can purchase tickets. I think there's a link on the PBA Facebook page. So it's a really fun night out if you like to watch a basketball game versus our cops versus a bunch of high school seniors. Really fun night. And also our farmers market starts May 4th, 8:30 in the morning to 1:30. It is our 10th season, and we are really looking forward to it. We have a bunch of new vendors, and of course we have the old standbys. We have Port Coffee, Rella Woodwork, who are the Sea Glass Jewelry, the Soy Candles, all of those guys that have been there for 10 years since the beginning. And it's a fantastic community event. And what I've grown to love and appreciate for our farmers market is all our vendors talk to each other. They all try to make, using different products from each of the places. They really have grown together and made it a really good community event, and of course it's always supporting our small businesses. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Feynman.
Thank you. So much to unpack tonight. I don't know where to begin. First, I want to thank Ms. Berg and Mr. Bergen for compiling and presenting the budget. Definitely not easy. As a small business owner, it's very challenging, and I can only imagine. And being new to the council, I know there's a lot of work and effort. So I just want to say thank you to you two and the team and everyone else. I get it. Times are tight. I mean, do you remember when the dollar store?
No.
Right? They went up from $1 to $1.25. And for
Now maybe they'll go out of business.
Yeah, and for a store to be called the dollar store, it's like, surely you can't be serious.
Dollar Tree, dollar.
Yeah.
Nothing is over $1 anymore.
Yeah. So I get it. But as long as we can stick together, and I don't know the exact. I'm kind of going off the hip now a little bit. But the power of one, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
whatever you can do as an individual, as a person, as a neighbor, as a friend, as a relative, whatever you can do to positively impact another person, no matter how small, even if it's the smallest little thing, you should do it. I know I try to do it when possible. I know that the council people up here, we all do it. So I just wanted to, reflect on that. That's my, advice and thoughts. So thank you. Stay safe and have fun.
Thank you. Councilwoman Travers.
I also just wanted to congratulate our newest officer, Jesse Lyon, and again commend Mrs. Bergen and Ms. Berg again for all your hard work tonight. There's a lot of moving parts to all of this, and it's hard for any one individual to understand. So for you and your team, just thank you so much. And that's all.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Bergen and Ms. Laffey-Berg for all of your time tonight, all of the work you put into the budget. Ms. Bergen for making department heads available for the last 2 months to present budget details to the public during our meetings. I know it is an extraordinary amount of work that you begin very early in the year in order to get it done, and you get it done every year for us. The last thing I'll say is just the next scheduled meeting is to be held on May 14th at 7 p.m. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.